Patrick right there.
Oh, there's Patrick.
Where's Mark? Where's Blanchett?
Good morning, Patrick.
Good morning.
Good morning.
So what you have there is a copy of my weekly report and also the weekly report from the finance director. The meeting is being recorded, not broadcast, but it is being recorded, both audio and video, just for the newcomers. And that will be shared later with the entire council for their review. And currently, Tammy is pawing through the weekly warrant, so, which you're welcome to.
You also got it on your computer. If you, I don't know if you had an opportunity to go through the million invoices. And,
Did not,
No,
I
okay.
will admit. Did not.
Do you want,
You can certainly do that. You can also look through, this is the report that's run. It's just the register, and if there's specific ones that you want, you're like, oh, that seems,
Yeah.
a little high, or, so.
that's the most helpful, is to scan
Yeah,
through that
yeah.
and then dig.
Every once
And
in a
having the
while I'll see
paper,
something.
not to speak out of turn, but having the paper is heaven.
I like having the paper.
Yeah.
Sorry. She's always
Luckily, May's gone. She
Yeah,
just
right.
hated the
She
paper.
hated paper.
Every time I print something, she'd be like, why are you printing that? I'm like, because it has to go in the permanent file.
Morning, Reggie.
Morning, Reggie.
Good morning.
So I asked Reggie to come this morning to talk about something that's been, we had discussed in the past about a potential land exchange for the water main project that's happening, that's scheduled to happen, go out to bid sometime later this winter on Surrey Road. So, since he's here,
You want to
If
go
you
ahead
don't
and
mind,
do that?
we'll
Yeah, no,
jump
it's
right
okay.
into
We'll get
his-
you in and out. You got stuff to do.
So the land that Jesse Dirt owns that we're asking for is just a parcel at the top of Mountain View Drive and Hillside Drive. There's that dirt road that cuts across.
Yep.
So we're asking for that so we can run a water main across that road to make a loop instead of having two dead ends.
in addition, not to interrupt you, Reggie,
No, that's
but
fine.
just for more detail, the plan also is to improve that road and actually pave it so that not only will the water line be a loop, but plow trucks can make a loop. So it just creates a more complete,
The real road.
yeah, a real road.
Seems like we've discussed this at another.
We
finance
did a
committee
while
meeting
ago.
A while ago.
Yeah.
Okay.
So in the property that Jesse Durr is interested in is off from Red Bridge Road. And it abuts his property, so it would make his lot bigger. So, I believe this is lot number 11, the city owns it, and has owned it since the 70s,
Is that the Lafreniere?
I believe so.
Okay.
Well, when we researched where the land came from, it appears that it was tax acquired in the 70s,
Yep.
but the previous owner was listed as unknown. So I don't, and Sue couldn't find anything beyond that, so.
Lafrenia happened in the 90s, wasn't it?
I don't know.
Yeah, it was in the
I
90s.
thought that maybe there's another 6 1 half dozen. So that's really weird that we can't find it. My guess is it got split somehow, and then
So value-wise, I believe the value was comparable. I thought that was on here. So lot 11 is 33,000. And I don't know, 22,000 perhaps. So,
For the Durr property.
yeah, the Durr property is.
Have we asked Larry to for the information on the assessment for?
That's where this stuff.
Oh,
came
okay,
from.
perfect. Okay.
Yeah, so Larry's been involved already.
Okay.
So to be clear, you're exchanging a $31,000 property for a
22.
$22,000 property in Durr's favor, correct?
Yes.
Right?
Value-wise, yes.
Okay, so, just to bring this up, it sounds unbalanced, but what's the value to the city? It's much more than the difference, isn't it?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we got a public road out of it, we got
Yeah,
a
I
water
mean-
line. I mean, he's more than willing to give us an easement to go through there.
Right,
We've
right,
been
but
waiting on it, and he would not be able to do anything with that piece of land.
I just wanted to go on the record as saying that it's, the value to the city is more than the valuations,
Oh,
right? I
absolutely.
mean, there's an intrinsic value there
Yeah.
that is huge to the city.
In addition, the piece of property that Mr. Durr, that we would be exchanging with Mr. Durr, is essentially landlocked. So the city owns it, but we don't even have access to it.
Right.
So it has really, and Jesse owns abutting property to
So-
it. So it has value to him far beyond what it has to the city.
So
And
everyone wins.
conversely, the property that he owns at the top of Hillside is largely in conservation. So there's a very small corner of the property that he could even do anything with. So it has limited value to him, has much greater value to the city to be able to put the water line through and redo that road. So it's really
It's a huge win for both sides.
Yeah, and it's only about a $200 tax difference
Well,
between the
right.
assessment
I'm-
and the
I
mill
was
rate.
thinking
It's, I mean, like,
valuation.
so if anybody says, well, it's really, it's $200.
Yeah, and it will be land for land, there will be no exchange of money.
So, the reason we just wanted to bring this to you today, because it will be on the agenda for December for the council to vote on it and make a final decision so that we can do all what needs to be done with Mr. Durr and get that resolved, because that's the final step that we need in order to move this project forward and get it out to bid and start the process to get it going.
I like it.
And that water main, Reggie may be able to share some light on that water main. It's
Asbestos
asbestos
cement plant.
cement pipe, and we've had multiple breaks over the last couple of years.
What year is that, like in the 50s or something?
Yeah, 40s and
The
50s.
1800s ones work better than those.
Yep.
Yep.
And then portion of it that goes up through Hillside is what's referred to as cross-country, so it goes through people's yards. And so in this project, we're going to eliminate the cross-country, and everything's going to be in the roadway. So we'll have easy access to future repairs if needed, and the loop is going to make the water, and correct me if I'm wrong, Reggie, but it will provide for better water pressure and better consistency in that area with their water, having the loop instead of the dead ends.
And again, with the loop, if there is an a leak or whatever, we can actually isolate a short section and reduce the number of customers that are on the water.
Excellent.
I was trying to think of their last name that's called me several times about this, and I think this is gonna benefit them. Tom and Bobby,
Which street are they on?
they're on the Surrey Road, and the pipe is in their back, behind that.
Backyard.
What is their last name? I'm sorry. They've contacted me several times about that, and I went and looked at it because they asked me to. So right now it goes in their backyard, so now you're telling me it's gonna go in the road,
Yes.
correct? I'm sorry, I can't give you the last name. It escapes me.
No, there's actually a section in someone's backyard, they have a radio tower that's on top of our water. So if we had, and again, that's a special pipe, so.
Yeah. So, sounds like everyone's gonna win here.
Yeah, I like it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
That was quick and easy.
It was. I like those.
I gotta come up with better questions.
Give my best to Darcel, Reggie.
Will do.
All right, have a good one.
Have a good day, have a good weekend.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right.
Okay.
So, all right, back to my report on financial matters. Paycheck, we're still struggling with the paychecks conversion. We have a meeting today at 11:30, I believe, with the implementer for, so we have the paychecks, the part of the payroll system that issues our paychecks, that portion is fine. We've been using it for several weeks now. They're manually inputting the information, and everyone's getting paid without any issues. We just started last week before Thanksgiving, the training and the rollout of the timekeeping component. and we've hit some snags with that, and that's what our meeting is about today, so, hopefully we'll be able to make some progress today, and I know Ann, Ron, and Paychex have been working on the GLing and the mapping
Yeah,
of
the new mapping.
the payroll accounts, so, I believe that's still a work in progress, but, hopefully that will get resolved soon as well.
It'll be done this morning, so.
And so once we iron out these few glitches with the timekeeping component, the staff has been trained and has been advised that January 1 is the drop dead date for everyone to be utilizing that software and payroll. So that project continues to grind along. Some of the other issues that I wanted to talk about. Tammy, I had a specific question for you to rack your brain, to see if you can recall. So, John DeLeo actually sent a email to Planning Board wondering if anyone was aware of a escrow that was created by Atlantic Landscape when they moved out to their new location for Red Bridge Road repairs, for that end of Red Bridge Road where they access it even when posted. And Matt has searched through planning board minutes and everything dealing with that project and can't find anything. Of course, I'm not aware of anything, but I wouldn't have been involved to any degree. And so we're not
Like-
finding anything.
How long, it was quite a while ago, right?
It was, I want to say 2012,
So
maybe?
like, yeah, I was thinking like 10 years.
Yeah. And I mean,
Possibly bonded?
possibly, but again, there's nothing, I would assume that would have been, and certainly Patrick, your experience on the planning board might know better, but I would assume that would have been some sort of condition, placed by the planning board on that project, but Matt can't find anything when he looks back through the minutes and the meetings that revolved around that project, so
Has anyone reached out to Atlantic?
we haven't yet, that was,
Yeah.
that was
Yeah,
gonna
I
be our
don't
next step, but
remember.
we wanted to just exhaust all,
Yeah.
I hate reaching out to the property owner and being like, did you have to do this? Cause nobody here knows, but,
I mean, like, I don't remember anything like monetary coming into the city saying, oh, we need to hold this in escrow.
Where-
Because it would be in the special revenue funds, but
Okay. Yeah, do we have a special, our escrows are typically held there.
That's not typically handled with bonds?
well, that's why I'm like, was it bonded? But I don't know if we'd necessarily get that information.
If it were bonded, we would have something, we would.
A certificate,
Well,
right?
in the
Yeah.
planning office,
Yeah.
but
yeah, I didn't see,
Yeah.
Matt hasn't been able to find anything. I also went through all of Lisa's records. She wouldn't have been here then anyway, but I thought she may have retained it from previous public works directors, but we can't seem to find anything, so I just thought I'd ask you first before we reached out to Chad Francis to see if he's aware of anything.
No, I
And
don't.
basically, I mean, we don't have any plans to do anything with the road, but we just wanted to be able to respond to Mr. DeLeo and just, explain to him, A, it exists, and at some point, we will utilize it to, when the time comes to do repairs to the road, or B, it doesn't exist, and I'm not sure what happens.
okay. No, I don't remember anything. Yeah, I can ask Michelle too. 'cause
Yeah, I
that
think
would've been
Mich-
her time as well.
She was city manager then, so I was
Okay.
hoping she was gonna be here this morning as well, but if you could think
Yeah.
to check with her.
Has anyone reached out to, John Fink? Or-
I don't know if Matt has or not.
Yeah, he was in the chaired the board
For a long time.
so he might have
We usually kept really good minutes. That'd have been Michelle Gagnon time too,
Yeah.
right? So,
You know what assuming does? I'll have to double check with Matt, but I assumed that Matt, because he frequently communicates with Michelle, so I'm assuming he asked Michelle first, but I will follow up with that and double check. But if you could ask Michelle, that would be great.
we'll do.
other question I had, and this was brought, well, the clerk and I had a discussion about this yesterday when I was looking at the schedule of upcoming events. So the rules, and this is something we'll have to take to the full council, but I wanted to just run it by this group first to see if there was any appetite for it whatsoever. So the rules require the meeting is on the third Monday. If it falls on a holiday, for it to be moved to the second Monday. So when, in looking at the calendar, that puts our January meeting basically 2 weeks out from from our December meeting. So it gives, literally, we have 2 days to compile an agenda, which means the January meeting's likely to be basically pointless. It's going to have very few agenda items. We have little to no time to to put anything together for public notices. So it's likely to be a very short meeting if we have an agenda at all, based on the time frame. So we looked at, well, then maybe, because January has 5 Mondays in it, so we thought, well, maybe push it to the 22nd. Well, the problem with doing that is February is the same deal. Third Monday is a holiday, so it bumps it up a week, so we'd have little to no time to create February. So what I would propose, and what the clerk is in agreement with me, is if the council so chooses to potentially move, change the rules to state that if the Monday falls on a holiday, that the meeting be moved to the third Tuesday of the month. We confirm that the council chambers is not consumed. The school department uses the second Tuesday of the month for their school board meeting. And it would just provide for more consistency with our agenda. It's going to provide us the same number of days and adequate timing to put together an agenda, to advertise for the public notices and do all of that, which would render January a much more productive meeting. So, again, totally up to the council. The council would have to vote unanimously, I believe, to change the rules, because the rules reflected that it would be the second Monday.
Is that in our charter?
You know,
Can
it's
we
in
say-
the council rules.
It's in the council rules.
Yeah.
What we voted on at the organization.
At the organizational meeting. Yeah.
Okay.
So, I mean, if there's no appetite for it, I'll raise it. We're gonna put it on the agenda as a discussion point for December. And if the council decides to do it, then fine. If not, then we'll just move forward with an abbreviated time frame for January.
So you're saying third Tuesday?
The third
if it
Tuesday.
falls-
It's the
It's
six-
only January and February, right?
Yes, and February would
Maybe-
stay the same, so February we could do on the second Monday if you chose to, or the third Tuesday, either way, because February wouldn't be as impacted, because again, January has 5 weeks. But the way December rolls out this year and because part of that week is the Christmas holiday, so you're working around Christmas and coming right out of your meeting, so literally, we have like 2 or 3 days to get any public notices, public announcements in. So your meeting's on Monday, they'd have to be in by Thursday in order to get them into the newspaper for the next week, and the agenda would have to be done on Wednesday of the next week, with Monday and Tuesday being the Christmas holiday. So it's really just a really short, abbreviated amount of time, so would make it a little bit more, I think it would just make January be a productive meeting instead of what it's likely to be, which is a very short agenda, and in and out of here in just a few minutes, because we just don't have the time. Everything that potentially would be in January is just gonna get pushed to February, because we're not gonna have the time to put this information together,
Right.
so. Food for thought, something to discuss at the meeting in December.
I just have a question about that. That sounds fabulous to me. I think it's a great solution to a problem. And I'm not suggesting that we make this change, I'm just asking this question. If the meetings were third Tuesday of every month, we would eliminate all of this problem going forward.
Oh, you mean permanently change the meetings from Mondays to Tuesdays?
I'm asking.
Yeah.
I'm not suggesting, but wouldn't that eliminate, because there's no
No Tuesday holidays.
Right,
Yeah.
right. I'm not suggesting, I'm asking. No.
Food
So,
for thought? Who likes Monday meetings anyway?
Right.
Holiday falls on a Tuesday, then what? When would you have?
When does a holiday fall on a Tuesday?
Hot seat.
It could be Veterans Day, it could be July 4th, Labor, no, not Labor Day.
Christmas.
You know, there are some holidays that aren't necessarily held.
What do you
But
do
if it's
when the
third
4th of July?
Tuesday, that's the third Tuesday, though. If you do the third Tuesday, I don't think there's anything that falls on the third Tuesday.
4th of July could fall on a Monday or Tuesday.
Yeah.
Well,
or
and it'd also be in
randomly.
the first week of the month,
There you go,
so-
yeah. Wouldn't be the
Oh, right,
3rd.
July 4th.
Right,
Duh.
Yeah.
right. So even the 11th, you're still not in the middle of the month.
It's early, it's early.
Even November 11th, you're still not at the third week of the month. There's no way you could ever hit it.
Yeah.
Christmas isn't gonna hit it,
No,
Yeah.
25th.
I'm asking, not suggesting. I just wondered if that would be
Looking at a calendar.
a long-term fix.
okay, it's possible, yeah.
Yep. So, food for thought. And the other, so another thing that I brought up a while ago to the Finance Committee, just really more or less as a so you know type of situation, but there's been a lot of conversation over the last year or so about making some adjustments to City Hall hours, operation hours. We found that we've had, certain people who live in our community have difficulty getting in here at 5 o'clock if they work outside of our community. A lot of towns and cities around the state, we actually did a poll several, probably 2 or 3 months ago, and over half the municipalities in the state have altered hours during the week. They're not just Monday through Friday, 8 to 5 like we are and have been for probably ever.
The beginning of time.
So I've worked extensively, had a lot of conversations with staff and with department heads to try to come up with a schedule that was agreeable to folks and that I think provides A, increased access for our community and citizens, and B, provides some morale boost for the folks that work here at City Hall and a benefit to them. So what I've come up with, what I'm planning to implement starting January 1, is an altered schedule that would provide City Hall hours of Monday through Wednesday, 8 to 5, as they are now. Employees would have a half an hour unpaid break as opposed to the full hour unpaid break that they currently have. Thursday, our hours would be 8 a.m. to 6:30 p.m., again with a half an hour break. And then Friday, our hours would be 8 a.m. to 12:30 with no break. And so that provides for 42 hours that City Hall is open, as opposed to currently it's open 45 hours. So it does reduce the hours slightly that City Hall is open, but it provides for full 40-hour work week from on the part of the employees. Provides that additional hour and a half on Thursday for folks who need to do City Hall business and work out of town, and then provides that early release on Friday, which coincides with a lot of schools, which was very beneficial to a lot of our staff. And then we also find that productivity on Fridays afternoons is quite frankly non-existent. So,
I can attest.
so I think not only is productivity on the part of the employees very low, but there's not a lot of citizenry in here either Friday afternoons. We find that Friday afternoons are very slow. End of the month is a little bit different when people are trying to get their last minute registrations and that stuff done, but for the most part, Fridays afternoons are very slow in City Hall. And staff is ready for the weekend and, productivity goes in the tank. So,
So my only concern that I have is tax time when, it's busy right up, even on Fridays, you're those people like, oh crap, I forgot to pay my taxes.
Right.
And so they come in and, that following Friday is super, super busy.
yeah, and we can take a look at that, and that's certainly something where we, for those 4 Fridays or whatever, maybe we extend the Friday hours to cover that. And just adjust the schedule of the tax clerks to accommodate that.
Okay. That and like, I know it's super busy, like before holiday weekend, Memorial Day. People are coming in to register their boats, as well as like 4th of July holiday, if it, the way it falls. Sometimes it's super busy
Right.
then.
My hope is that with the late, the 6:30 hours, a lot of those folks will be able to get that done on Thursday, because many of them probably put it off because it's difficult for them to get to City Hall because of their work schedules, so.
Yeah, and then we also have so many online options at
Yeah.
this point too.
Yeah,
so,
as
yeah.
well.
But I wanted to keep that in everyone's mind that it does get.
So I'll announce it Friday at the, or, excuse me, at the meeting in December, that the hours are changing, and starting next week, we're gonna be doing a full-scale, media blitz to get the word out there. We'll be hanging posters in City Hall and, letting doing everything we can to notify the public that starting January 1, that those will be the new hours going forward, so. Did you have?
Well, I was just gonna say, now that we have government window too, they can pay by check online without the added fees. And so that we probably should do a little PR blitz on that and let people know, how to do that. Put up maybe some instructions on the main page of our webpage.
In this process, was there any consideration for a look at a 4-day week for these people so that we have very consistent hours? And there's a lot of workplaces that have done that. I just wondered.
So yes, and
No.
there's a lot, well, there's a lot of employees that really push for that. My take on that is this is kind of a stepping stone to get us to that point. I think if we just rolled out a 4-day work week, I think we'd get a lot of pushback from the community. I just think that's a drastic change that that might lead to some, again, in my opinion, some bad publicity. And I think that this is a step in that direction. And then you adjust, you get people used to these hours, and then maybe, going forward in the future, if that trend continues, which it certainly seems to be, the trend of the future, then, the potential to extend all week and just roll out a full, a 4-hour week, I think is a less dramatic change to the community. So that was kind of my thinking on the whole 4-day work week issue. It's probably about 50-50, because there were a lot of employees who weren't really interested in being here till 6 o'clock every night either, because it's hard enough in the wintertime when you leave here at 5 and it's pitch dark out and the roads get bad and stuff. So, so it was, there was definitely conversation about it, and there was definitely some folks who would love to see a 4-day work week. And I think this will potentially eventually lead to that, but I felt this was a little bit of a softer approach to get us there.
So I have a couple questions. Is this all departments?
Yes. No.
Well, except for.
It's right, City Hall exclusive.
So what about wastewater, water? They're still working
They're-
5 Monday through Friday. Okay.
Well, no, they don't work. Their hours are already altered.
They're already altered,
Wastewater's 7 to 3:30.
Oh, okay.
Water has very different, and of course, police, fire, and public works have very different hours.
And how does it affect the union for the clerks? Do you have to, is there a?
Management rights provides us the authority to do
Okay.
it, but we will be providing, union specific, a letter to the union advising them that we are changing the work hour, the work
Okay.
schedule. So,
Was there pushback from the employees on this proposed schedule?
this one, no, I've gotten unanimous confirmation that all the employees are in favor and support of it.
Fair enough.
I did have a previous attempt, had the Thursday schedule 7:30 to 6:30 with a 1-hour break, because I thought the longer day might require a longer, break, or they could take 2 30-minute breaks, and got significant pushback on that 7:30 start time. So a lot of it revolved around school,
Right.
people take their kids to school and what have you. So that seemed to be the overall driving factor, which caused me to go back to an 8 o'clock start. I think the 8 o'clock start is also, for consistency's sake, makes it easier for the community to understand. They know City Hall opens at 8, So I felt that that was a wiser choice than having hours all over the place.
Nice.
And I think that kind of rounds up what I had for this week to discuss. So, turn it over to you.
Yippee. Okay, so, update on the CIP. I'm done with it for Public Works, water, wastewater, and I just finished the pavement condition index for all the roads that the city maintains. So that will also be part of my CIP. For the new members,
CIP?
capital improvement plan. So it's actually a 10-year, it's a 5-year granular, 10-year out. So we'll have, you know what I mean. Okay, so that, as I told you before, it's gonna be online. My CIP is gonna be designed to be public-facing so that all of the public can see what we're looking at and the reason that we're choosing the projects. We'll have narratives, historicals, legal implications, things like that, just general informational kind of stuff. So right now, I'm finishing up what I know of the historical financials of projects, and then I meet with Woodard and Curran on the 12th to run down what they have and compare and contrast to what we're looking at, and also moving forward into funding. Yesterday, or this week, we got approval on the CWSRF loan for all the several pump station projects and wastewater projects.
Oak Street.
Clean Water
Okay.
SRF, so you might be familiar with the Clean Water State Revolving Fund.
Yeah.
So, yeah, can we just, at least until people get used to it, can we not use acronyms for
Yeah.
the report?
Is
Sorry.
it the revolves, Clean Water State Revolving Fund?
Yep.
Thank you.
And Drinking Water State Revolving Fund. It makes it possible to do these projects for us, otherwise taxes would be like
Oh, yeah, yeah,
Robin
yeah.
Hood level. Okay, so the next thing that I'm working on is,
I know what IRS is.
Yeah.
I have my own personal IRS guide. We're tight. The next thing that I've been working on with Ron, a couple of things. With the integration into Casell, we're making a radical change to the account list just because it has become bizarre and irreconcilable and difficult to follow. So he's doing that mapping for paychecks with payroll, but we're also going to be doing it for budget because we're going into a new accounting system, we're having a new chart of accounts, there's no point in making the budget in the old chart of accounts. It's expensive to do those integrations, so we got this idea, this mad cap idea that we would just go ahead and do that integration now so we don't continue to throw good money after bad. I think this will help a lot with transparency. All of my department heads have requested over and over again a desire to see something more straightforward that they can follow and plan against. So that will be upcoming, and I will have the historical financials converted so that you can see what it would look like if it had been in the new chart of accounts. So it won't be like you're comparing an apple to an orange. We're going to do everything that we can to try to give you that linear picture of what's gone on now and what we're doing going forward. I met with the fire department briefly regarding the effluent capture system for downstairs for exhaust. This is something that keeps coming up, so that's going to be, I'm just working with them on numbers and putting together what would be a meaningful sort of presentation on why it's important. I interviewed a new deputy. I want to change that job a little bit. I don't want the deputy overseeing AP. I don't think it's necessary. I want that job to be more focused like a controller or a city accountant. That's what I need in that position. I need someone that can be spot on every day looking at my accounting. So I think I found a candidate. I had my first interview with her yesterday. I had the auditors interview her with me to ask questions and give her kind of what the scope of work would be in the beginning while we do the integration and when we ultimately go into the new accounting software. So it looks like a good fit. I'm gonna bring her in again and have her meet the chief and the finance department so that we can talk some more about what we want to do. And we'll also have the accountants here, the auditors will be here for that next piece. I've been working with, like I said, in Public Works with all the grants that are going on right now and NBRC, so we had to do some catch up with NBRC, found out while doing an audit with Northern Borders Regional Commission. So they provide grants for like community development, various things. It's new to me too, so what I'm telling you is kind of what I've gleaned from it. So they provided us different grants for different public works projects, a couple for water. So there's a lot of, all of these organizations have a compliance piece that revolves around reporting and, you know, it's government filing reports, giving paper, things like that, numbers. So I did a brief audit of it and discovered that Q2 had not been filed for '23, so filed that, Q3's filed, so we're all caught up. So we're gonna have some funds released on a couple of different projects through them. The next thing, with respect to the Clean Water State Revolving Fund approval, I contacted our bond counsel and Brent from Woodard and Curran as to next steps. So the next steps would be, my bond counsel contacted the bond bank, so it will go to their council meeting in January. And then when we have permission for bid, the next step will come and then we'll find out when we can get money and things like that. And that will be a presentation to the full city council.
Who's our bond counsel?
Jim Safian?
Drum Edwardsson.
Yep.
Okay, and since apparently karmically I will never be free of the IRS, we have yet, I have one slight issue with them. I don't foresee this as a long-term problem because of course I'm not going to let it become one. But we had to do a lot of cleanup on IRS, as everybody knows from payroll before. And we had just a glitch and an overpayment because it had to be, 941 had to be refiled like 3 times for Q3. So I'm waiting for the dust to settle to see which filing they considered to be the final audit or amended return, and then I will circle back around and let you guys know what the IRS says about that and if we're good. Now we're at right now we're at an $84 overpayment, which is much better than being in an underpayment, but there are penalties when the numbers don't match, as you know, if you do payroll, so it's still kind of up here somewhere. Next thing, the police department leases and all the vehicle leases for Enterprise. Thank God the captain at the police department finally got that figured out. So we are all straight with those new leases, and just from me to you, it's really a big savings for the city. So it turns out to have been a really good idea, I think. And then the next step is I need to have a reconciliation of all the abatements that come through the tax assessor, the tax collector. So I just finally completed that for this year so far, and so now I'd say we're more in compliance with that, having that for the audit piece, so that when we give an abatement, because it is the people's money, you can't just give it back and say we're good. I have now an audit trail or documentation to back up every single abatement or reassessment that comes through the assessor's office. Next thing is, I've already talked about, obviously we're coming into FY23 audit. The accountants are doing bank recs right now, just because I don't yet have my full adjustments for.
Reconciliation?
Yes, bank reconciliation, just regular bank reconciliations. The cash reconciliations are done. I think the new chart of accounts is going to really help audit be much less time-consuming and much less costly, which is a goal, of course. And other than that, I'm still working on my process manuals. We want to look at the purchasing process going into the new software because we have a lot of problems with the way that it's set up now. It's not, people aren't compliant with it. It doesn't really suit the workflow, the way that the work actually flows through City Hall. So we'll be coming to council probably with something about that. And other than that, it's just a lot of housekeeping. I have to do some, like we talked about with the Moore Center, the billing hasn't been done right pursuant to the contract that it has with the city. So that's an audit right there, TIFs too, so.
Keeping in mind that that contract expires in August. So that will be something that will be,
Yeah.
negotiation process will begin sometime in the coming new year for the Moore Community Center agreement with the Y and this, between the Y and the city.
And then the wide sub-agreements with like Friends in Action or other places in there.
That was, so after coming out of COVID, I actually worked with the Y and Friends in Action to secure what they currently have for an agreement, which provides them a lot more stability than what they had previously. But so that will have to be part of the new agreement and perhaps, you know, who knows where their new agreement's gonna go. I mean, they could potentially be, you know, leased from the city as opposed to, you know, being beholden to the Y. I don't, you know, who knows. And then the Ellsworth Music School is also somebody who has a vested interest in there that needs to be included in that process as well. A couple of just quick things that came to my mind as Ann was talking about projects. The Water Street Pump Station project is complete and came in under budget. We don't know exactly how much under budget, but it was under budget, which is a good thing. Christian Ridge Road, which you all know is complete, that was also slightly under budget, not a lot, but 20, 30,000, something
Maybe,
in that
yeah.
ballpark-ish.
But retention's not been paid, so retainage hasn't been paid.
Which
so-
is, yeah, a good thing. And the High Street Pump Station is going to be going out to bid sometime in December, early December, like we're right there to send that out to bid. And then, of course, the Surrey Road Water Main Project should be going out to bid early in the new year. And that has a little bit of a wrinkle into it, which you'll learn more about as it develops, but DOT notified us probably a month ago now that they plan to do a mill and fill the entire length of Surrey Road all the way to Blue Hill. Well, for reasons that are pretty obvious, you don't want to go digging up brand new pavement. So their time frame was accelerated beyond what we had planned for the Surrey Road project. And so the Surrey Road water mains basically from the Bucksport Surrey Road intersection all the way out to Hillside Drive. So you're talking a long span of the Surrey Road, and then it's gonna have to cross the Surrey Road to go up Hillside Drive. So you're talking a significant amount of work that's gonna have to be done in brand new pavement. So Woodard and Kern assisted. They reached out to the DOT, and I had a conference call earlier in the week with the DOT and Woodard and Kern, and it's looking like we're gonna enter into what's called a municipal agreement that, and this is the crib note version, and again, you'll get more as we get into the bidding process, but essentially what will happen is the DOT is gonna do their project from where our water main project ends all the way out to Blue Hill. We'll move forward with our project. In our bid process, we'll include paving from the Bucksport Road intersection to Hillside Drive, basically, somewhere in that neighborhood. We'll include the paving in our project. We'll pay for the paving as part of our project, but the DOT will reimburse us for the paving once it's done.
Excellent.
So that's how it works. So the DOT is working on putting together the municipal agreement. Woodard and Kern will be reviewing that, approving that. I'll sign off on that as part of, and then that will go into the bid when we put the whole project up to bid. So, but that's just some kind of highlights on public works stuff.
Excellent.
Unless anyone has any questions, I will stop the recording.
I have one question about that. where's the full sheet? Sorry.
This one here?
Yeah, just the one, $500,000 T-Buck construction.
Look, that's for.
Water Street?
Water Street Pump Station.
Okay,
Yeah.
yeah, figured I'd ask what the.
Do you wanna look at the,
No, I just wanted
Okay.
to.
I'd like to see that. That's one thing.
I do have to go, my apologies.
Are we, is this?
You can sign.
So you just
Yes,
need to sign.
You just need two, but
Oh, okay,
3 will
good,
work.
signed. All right. All right,
See,
thank you, Chloe.
Thank you.
Yeah.
you can call me too if you have